Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally peeling back the layers of everyday dog behavior to reveal a hidden matrix of evolutionary biology and neurochemistry. You might think you know exactly what your dog is thinking when they stare at you, but the science tells a completely different and, frankly, much more mind-blowing story.
So, when you look at your dog and tell them they're a good boy, what are they actually hearing? Well, let's dive into the data, because the scientific reality completely shatters the illusion that our dogs understand English the way we do. It's actually way cooler than that.
Part 1. The Silent Canine Language, or Decoding the Shadow.
Let's kick things off by reframing something super mundane. Why does your dog shadow your every move, especially into the bathroom? I mean, it's a universal joke, right? You'll literally never pee alone again. But your dog isn't just invading your privacy. They're actually executing a high-stakes biological mission. To get why, we have to look back at their wild ancestors.
Out in the wild, elimination leaves an animal wide open to predator attacks. They're stuck. They can't easily run or fight back. So your dog is nobly returning the favor of watching over you when you are at your most vulnerable. They recognize you're in a compromised spot, and, well, they've basically appointed themselves as your personal lookout.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole concept of shadowing, following you from room to room. You see, for a canine, physical distance literally equals sudden danger. Staying within touching distance ensures the pack remains unbroken. But it's also chemical. Hanging close triggers a massive oxytocin surge in both of you. And yeah, that is the exact same hormone that bonds human mothers and their babies. How crazy is that?
So the big takeaway here is that this shadowing is a crucial vital sign of health and bonding. But veterinary behaviorists warn that if your faithful shadow suddenly stops following you, you really need to pay attention. Canines instinctively mask physical pain. It's a deep survival mechanism. If they lose that core motivation to follow you around, they are very likely masking a serious physical illness, like joint pain or an internal infection, and they need help immediately.
Moving on to Section 2, Inside the Dog's Brain, the fMRI and EEG Revelations. To truly understand the silent language, we literally have to look inside the canine brain. And a groundbreaking 2016 fMRI study out of Budapest proves something amazing. Dogs split language exactly like humans do. When you speak to them, they process the actual dictionary meaning of the word in their left hemisphere and the emotional tone of your voice in their right hemisphere. They are constantly crunching the math on both of those axes at the exact same time.
But here's the kicker. Their reward center, the part of the brain that dishes out that sweet rush of dopamine, only lights up if both match perfectly. If you say a praise word like good boy in a flat, bored tone, it just doesn't give them that dopamine hit. They absolutely need both the warm tone and the praise word to actually feel the reward.
And the plot thickens. 2020 EEG data showed that while dogs split language like us, they do not encode phonetic details the way we do. When researchers tested a known word like sit against a phonetic nonsense word like suit, the dog's brains literally couldn't distinguish between the two. Why? Because they aren't listening for our complex human vowels. They're focusing entirely on the overall rhythm and cadence of how we say it.
Then, a 2024 study took this even further. Researchers told dogs a word they knew, like ball, and then showed them a picture. When the picture was actually a ball, the brain was quiet, totally normal. But when they heard ball and saw a rope toy, their brains threw a human-like electrical mismatch signal. They literally registered a surprise gap between the audio and the visual.
This data reveals something absolutely stunning. Your words act as keys. When you say a word they know, it triggers this rich, private internal representation. They aren't parsing your grammar. Your words are literally sparking flashes of pictures and scents right inside their minds.
Okay, Section 3, the biological anchor, co-regulation and trust.
So how does this invisible inner world dictate how they act with you in the living room? Well, when your dog abruptly leans their full body weight against your leg or just plops down heavy on your feet, they aren't treating you like furniture. They are choosing you as their ultimate social anchor. By physically pressing against you, their heart rate actually slows down, and their cortisol, that nasty stress hormone, just plummets.
Because remember, out in the wild, rest is absolute vulnerability. A resting dog cannot respond instantly to danger. So by pressing against you, they are syncing their circadian rhythm with yours, essentially engaging in a shared loop of physiological co-regulation. They are trusting you to be the lookout while their guard is totally down.
Which brings us to Section 4, Speaking Native Canine and Hacking the Biological Loop. Armed with all this incredible neurological data, how can we actively hack this loop to communicate back to them in their own language? First up, try interacting directly with their vagus nerve. The skin right at the base of a dog's ear is absolutely packed with nerve endings. By executing a highly targeted 3-second circular touch behind the ear and then simply walking away, you flood their brain with calming endorphins and oxytocin. It takes 3 seconds, but it acts as a massive neurochemical reset.
Second, you really need to pause before touching them. To a canine, a fast descending human hand triggers an ancestral strike reflex. It mimics a predator attacking from above. If you hold still and let them close that final physical gap autonomously, studies show their bonding hormones absolutely skyrocket. Giving them the choice is the key.
Third, you can literally use your breath. You know when a dog circles their bed and lets out that long sigh? It's a biological signal that the perimeter is secure, and you can mimic this. Sit down, look softly away, take a deep breath all the way into your diaphragm, and release a long, audible sigh through your nose. You are chemically shifting their brain from active beta waves right into relaxed alpha waves without even touching them.
Finally, we have to abandon our primate habit of direct frontal approaches. Walking straight at a dog with unbroken eye contact, that is exactly how predators approach prey. Instead, try walking in a slight, subtle arc, pivoting your hips to a 45-degree angle. This instantly drops the spatial pressure on their nervous system and tells them, hey, I am entirely non-threatening. By intentionally adopting these micro-gestures, the 3-second touch, the pause, the deep exhale, that sideways approach, you prove to them that you are their ultimate, predictable physical sanctuary. You move beyond just being their owner. You're actively speaking their native biological language. As we wrap up this explainer, remember that every lean, every sigh, and every single moment they spend shadowing your footsteps is a calculated biological choice of love. It is a hidden matrix happening right there in your living room. The only question left is, the next time your dog stares at you from across the room, what profound silent conversation are you going to start?